Welcome back to DBL. Her bruises may be gone, but her strength isn't. It's been a month since Aaliyah Taylor first told the world that her ex-boyfriend, former NFL player Chad Wheeler, strangled her and left her for dead. Chad has pleaded not guilty to the charges and will go on trial for the alleged assault in June. But before that happens, Aaliyah told us that she is speaking her truth. Erica spoke with her earlier in her very first daytime interview, making this a DBL exclusive. And a warning, some of the images you are about to see are disturbing and maybe triggering to some.
Please help me now. Oh, my arm's dislocated. Sir, have them come in this room now.
Aaliyah, welcome to DBL.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You were very public last month and you told your story. So before we get started on the specifics of what happened that day, why are you continuing to speak out in this moment?
Before I worked in media, and it was always very important for me to speak on uncomfortable situations, speak on uncomfortable topics, and create a safe space for people to have conversations like this. And so with this happening to me, I'm just like, I just want to be able to create empowering conversations and educate people about it, and also be able to talk about the healing process. Unfortunately, it's something that happens so often. I didn't know it happened so often until it happened to me. It's not easy for me, and not everyone is blessed with a support system like me. So if I could try to help other people go through this, then I will.
Well, it's very important that it's not forgotten, because obviously your ex-boyfriend, Chad Wheeler, is going to court to stand these charges for your assault. So for those people who may not be familiar with your case, let's walk through the events that happened on January 22nd. You receive a message from Chad, and that was via text. What happened once you got home?
Yeah, when I got home, he was very emotional, crying a lot. And I just tried to console him, try to talk with him. We talk a lot about anything. We're like best friends. So this happened for a few hours on and off. He was crying. And eventually he went into my room, and I went to go check on him. And he was sitting on the ground, and he stood up and got really close to me and told me to bow down. And I asked him why. It was very, he's never asked me to bow down or do anything like that, or had that kind of tone with me. So it scared me a lot. And he told me to bow down again. I refused, and that's when he began attacking me.
What is it that's happening?
I'm being killed.
So we know that you had significant injuries from this attack, things that you'll have to live with for the rest of your life, I understand?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a concussion, anxiety, my left arm, the elbow was dislocated and the humerus was broken. So I have a lot of therapy, a lot of healing to do from that.
And you have been very transparent about your experience both that night and beyond. But that night, what did you think the outcome was going to be?
In my mind, thinking, he's very emotional. He just had a hard trip in LA, he maybe just needs to, cry it out, get it out of his system, and we'll be on vacay the next morning, the next day, and it'll be okay. And it's a safe space at my house. So I just figured, that was it. The moment he wrapped his fingers around my throat, that's when I thought, okay, I'm gonna die. I didn't think I was gonna make it as soon as he had started strangling me.
One of the main points that people were talking about was his mental health, even though you were the actual victim, and that became the narrative. After that event, because there were some things that we didn't hear about, what made you feel like it could have possibly have been not about his mental health?
No. Questions that I'm asking you.
It did seem like there were character changes, but again, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know how these things work. I mean, when I was in the bathroom calling them for 911, didn't check on me and ask if I was okay. But when the police came, they had pushed him into like the bathtub. He asked the cops if they were okay, and hearing that kind of broke my heart a little bit, because you ask the cops if they're okay, but you didn't check on me. So That was kind of hard hearing.
Anyone who's had proximity to domestic violence knows that it's a very intimate and complicated issue, but at the end of the day, there is a victim, and that victim should be the person who receives the first concern. So do you feel like going to prison is something that should happen in the future?
I do think so, just because this isn't the first run-in he's had with the cops in a violent manner. I just feel like he needs to understand the consequences of what he did. He almost took my life, and he knows how important I am to so many people in such a brutal way. And then he expected to go on vacay still, which was odd, being in court hearing that he still wanted to go to Hawaii after. I just don't think that he fully understands the consequences. I just don't think that him not going would be beneficial to him or public safety at all.
The idea that knowing how important you are to so many people, that it's almost as though you feel like it has to be a validation to your self-worth. And I'm wondering if that's something that you're feeling right now.
I remember at first, like the first week or two after, I was still able to contact his dad, and I was texting his dad asking like if Chad was okay. And then I had to take a break and take a step back and ask, wait, I almost lost my life in a brutal way. I had to stop and think, like, if I wouldn't have called the cops, my family could have found me that way. It took me a while before even deciding to press charges, because I had to actually put myself on the back burner and think, what if this happens to another woman? As much as I do care and love him, God forbid this happens to someone else.
There are people who are watching right here, right now in this moment, that you are normalizing and validating their experiences, and hopefully that gives them some semblance of strength and validity in their truth. So what you're doing is so important right now, and I'm just wondering what closure looks like for you.
I've thought about that. I actually think about that every day. Like, if I were to know why he did it, would that give me closure? Or if I were to know what could have been done to prevent it, even though there's nothing that could have been done, but I don't know. I have no idea what closure kind of looks like for me right now. I think that maybe getting to a point where I am close to being healthy and having some movement back in my arm. As I think about it, that might be close to closure for me right now.
I really want people to continue to rally behind you, and I want you to continue to speak your truth, if not for you, for everyone else who's looking towards you for support. So Aaliyah Taylor, I thank you so much for joining us on DBL.
Thanks for having me.